I'm just using a simple Wacom bamboo, which is, I don't know, between $60 and $80, I guess. Having a tablet is not mandatory for these tutorials, but it's a really helpful thing to have if you're into Photoshop or digital painting, as well as for Blender. I'm in Windows here, and I'm going to go over to All Programs, and I'm going to click on Bamboo and click on Bamboo Properties. If you have a newer version, you may have a different looking properties screen here, or if you have a different tablet, of course, it'll be different also. The main things we can still go over. For instance, the tip fill here. This is going to control how much pressure you need to put on your pen to get a response. The tracking over here, pen mode is usually what you want when you're doing any type of digital painting or anything like that, because it creates a direct relationship between the grid of space on the tablet and the space on the screen. If you have it in mouse mode, this basically turns your tablet into like just a laptop trackpad, only you're using a stylus with it. So pen mode is typically what you want there. On my pen here, the two buttons I have available, I have this top one set to a keystroke, which is a specific set of keys I'll show you in a second, and then the lower one set to middle click, and that's just the regular middle mouse button. So what that allows me to do is rotate around my object while I'm also drawing or sculpting or whatever. The top part where it says keystroke, if I click this down and I click on that keystroke there, you'll see that I actually have this set to a long set of keys here, Control Alt Shift Space. The reason why I have this set up to Control Alt Shift Space is that I made a very specific input key in Blender so that this Control Alt Shift Space will activate it. That particular button allows me to zoom in and out with the precise zoom. If you just click scroll your regular mouse back and forward, you see that it creates this kind of very clunky scroll movement. In a lot of instances that's okay, but specifically when you're sculpting, when you click on the zoom button, which I have set to here, and if the way in which it is zooming is in the clunky regular way that it zooms and not the precise zoom that you can get by holding Control and then holding down middle mouse button and moving your mouse, then it becomes very disorienting when you're sculpting. As soon as you start trying to back away or move up from the face or item or whatever you're sculpting, you get very disoriented when you're scrolling this clunky way. So I set up a special keystroke that correlates Blender Sensei format, and this way I can have this top button does my simple precise zoom, and then the lower button is the middle mouse button, which allows me to rotate. And then I basically have my left hand free for all my modifier keys that I use to do everything else. So my right hand is free to navigate and to sculpt or draw or paint or whatever. And then my left hand is free to do the regular left hand stuff it does when I'm normally using a regular mouse in Blender. That's pretty much that. We're going to get a lot into sculpting and what everything else does, and a lot of advancements and simplifications that I think will really massively speed up your sculpting experience. So stick around and we'll dive into that next.